Radio live at 87.9 FM with Amani Reflections. And today I'm going to be speaking about something that I feel very close to and has brought me actually really close to the deen. And it's about my hijab and my hijab journey. And I use the word specifically journey because I believe that hijab is a process to get used to, and it doesn't just come overnight for a lot of Muslim women. So today on Haj Radio live at 87.9 FM, I'm going to be speaking about that. And every Monday we are Amani Reflections. We are going to talk about different topics at 7 p.m. So today I'm going to just start by telling you a bit about myself. Again, a lot of people already on TikTok know who I am. You can also send in questions on TikTok, and inshallah I'll answer them during the talk. And hopefully, obviously, if it's relating to the topic, definitely if you have questions about what I'm saying, then definitely just type them in the chat, and then we'll get used to I'll answer them. So anyways, so today I'm going to first talk about what hijab is, especially for people who don't know what hijab is, because obviously not all my followers are Muslim and not everyone listening is going to be Muslim. So I'm going to talk about what hijab is and why we wear it, because I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions around that. So yeah, that's number one. And then I'm just going to speak about how I got into wearing hijab and how it really has impacted my life. And I'm just gonna carry on talk about that. And if you have any questions during the podcast, then definitely just send them in, and inshallah I'll try to answer them. But yeah, so first of all, what hijab is. Hijab is the veiling that Muslim women wear. Obviously, a lot of misconceptions is that the hijab is the headscarf worn around the head. It does not translate for that, but obviously the headscarf is part of the hijab. So what was in the Quran, our holy book, when prescribed to cover ourselves is called the khimar. The khimar is the headscarf. So what women in the olden days, but when the Quran came out, was the khimar. So they used to wear a headdress, but they used to have it behind their shoulders. And what was prescribed is let them draw their khimars across their chest. So that's where the covering of the neck comes from as well. So there's different requirements of hijab. Where people get confused is hijab is again the headscarf, which is not. It's different parts. There's requirements to hijab, which I'll go through in a bit. But so yeah, that's a really big misconception actually. And so that's something that I wanted to address as well. But so the requirements of hijab: one, it should not be adorned. Adorned meaning it shouldn't be decorated in such a massive way where it's drawing attention for fame, and that's another requirement. You shouldn't use the hijab or the headscarf as a way to get fame and attention as well. So that's another requirement. It should obviously cover the whole body. Obviously, depending on your madhab / school of thought, some people believe that it's wajib to cover the face, and that's why you have people who wear the niqab and the burqa. So yeah, they also think it's wajib, which means compulsory to cover the hands as well. Obviously, my school of thought doesn't, because obviously I'm not. But obviously I'm not perfect with my hijab, and inshallah, one day I'll achieve that level of wearing jilbab all day and every day out. And so the next thing is that it shouldn't be transparent, so you shouldn't be able to see through the hijab, and it shouldn't be tight or perfumed as well. So Assalamu alaikum, guys. And where I got introduced into hijab was when I was really young. Hijab has been something that's always been part of my life. I was born Muslim. I've had family members who have always wore hijab, some who wore the niqab, jilbab, some who don't wear hijab at all. So I've been exposed, I guess, to all sorts of types of different people. And so it's never been an unfamiliar behavior or an unfamiliar or I would say a minor, like, even when I grew up, I grew up in an Asian and Somali East African community, so it was always there. Like, it's never been abnormal to me in a way. So I've always known what it is. I've always known people wore it. It was never, it's never been, yeah, again, abnormal to me. I seen a lot of people wear it in my school, like from the age of like 7, 8. I used to wear it on and off because I wanted to obviously be like my friends, and so I wore it throughout primary school because it was just such a normal thing. It was a normal thing for us to do. I didn't go to a Islamic school or anything like that, but majority of my school was Muslim. I would say about like 98%. I had about 2 non-Muslims in my class, but yeah, we went on Muslim school. Just the neighborhood I grew up in is Muslim, majority Muslim. The religion there was predominantly Islam. So yeah, it's always been just a very normal thing for me, hijab. But yeah, so I grew up, started wearing it in primary school. That was fine. Year 7 came, and I think this is where my misconceptions started to grow, especially through secondary school. Because obviously, as you're growing up, you're meeting different types of people, and I've grown out of that primary school stage where I also moved to a new neighborhood as well, where it wasn't predominantly Muslim, and it wasn't normal to wear hijab. Like, you were the minority wearing the hijab, and so. So on my first day of school, year 7, obviously it wasn't prescribed for me to wear hijab at the time, so it was fine with my mom and stuff. I didn't wear the hijab, so one day went past, I didn't wear the hijab. Second day, third day, a week, a month, and I just wasn't wearing hijab. I just didn't wear hijab. And then I would say around mid-year 7, my mom was like, okay, it's time for you to start wearing hijab again. Come on, where did it go? So I was like, a bit hesitant to put it on, but I put it on because, again, it was a normal thing for me to wear. My mom didn't wear it full time either, but she just knew. We both knew. Like, I've been to mosque since the age of 5. Knew that it's compulsory for Muslim women to wear the hijab. So yeah, I put it on. And this is what I want to talk about, because obviously now I'm in secondary school. I'm a 12-year-old girl. A lot of my friends aren't even Muslim, forget hijabis. So again, not the majority, I'm the minority. And I thought this stuff like really only happened in movies and stuff, like bullying and stuff like that. But I got a lot of backhanded compliments, if you know what a backhanded compliment is. If you don't know what a backhanded compliment is like when someone compliments you, but they're also kind of dissing you in a way. So like, oh my gosh, you're so pretty when you're wearing this. Or, OMG, you have so much self-confidence, like you're not meant to have that self-confidence. So yeah, that's what a backhanded compliment is. It's not really it's a compliment, but like in a really rude way. Also like not complimenting you. So yes, this is a podcast. You can listen to it live on Haj Radio at 87.9 FM. So yeah, and you can send in questions if you'd like. But yeah, so again, a lot of backhanded compliments. I remember this one girl actually saying to me, oh my gosh, why are you wearing that? You look so pretty without that. And as a 12-year-old girl, when you hear that, you don't feel the best. I actually genuinely at the time, I didn't even understand what she was saying. I just thought she was telling me I was pretty, and that's where my perception of the hijab was misunderstood. I thought of it as a how do you say, as like a boundary or something that's stopping me from reaching my full potential, instead of a protection, or instead of something that in a positive light. I didn't view it in a positive light, and because of that, like, it really affected my mental health over the years, psychologically, like not literally. Like, you don't realize it until like you step back, and I've now grown up and looked at like where and when these things were said, and my behaviors after you stepped out of it, actually. But yeah, and that's when, like, around 2 years have passed, I've been wearing it, and this is also where I kind of stopped wearing it now. and this idea where you have to look pretty without the hijab. To look pretty, you have to not be wearing the hijab. And that is where like I think the ideology now came through, like parties and weddings, and I wear my hijab 9 to 5 every day for school, but then on a Saturday we have a wedding to go to. Oh, Amani, how are you wearing your hair? Oh, Amani, let's wear this dress, it's so pretty, but it doesn't follow the rules of hijab. So to make myself look dressed up and to adorn myself, I had to not wear my hijab. And that's where the perception of hijab makes you ugly comes from, I think, for me personally. And I think that was really damaging, even though they, like my family and friends, didn't mean for it to be damaging. And that's where I think that it could really like messes up, because that becomes your normal thinking. That becomes like your way of thinking. Like, to look pretty, I have to be out of my hijab. To get dressed up, I need to find out a cute hairstyle, a cute dress, and eventually I want to look prettier and prettier every day, and I stopped wearing my hijab. Obviously I still wore it to school. I was actually embarrassed because I had humility, because I didn't want to wear it, take it off at school, because I would feel like everyone was judging me. So I was not even wearing it for the point of the hijab at this point. I was wearing it because what were people going to think if I took it off, basically? And that is a really, really bad mindset. And especially if that's the reason why you're wearing hijab, you're not going to respect it. You're not going to respect yourself. Your self-love is going to fall. Your self-confidence is going to fall. Everything's gonna fall. So it really wasn't. And it was very damaging to my, again, confidence and mental health, because especially growing up as a teenage girl in today's society, there's so many standards you have to live up to. You have to live up to your own cultural standards at home, then you have to live up to your religious standards, then you have to live up to social media standards, and then you have to live up to like realistic and school standards. And all of these standards, like, it's hard. It's really hard and draining, especially when you're just thinking about the littlest things, and like the littlest things are really draining you out. And so right now I'm doing a podcast on Haj Radio with Amani Reflections. Today I'm talking about my Haj journey, and you can listen to it live at Haj Radio 87.9 FM. I'm talking to you both. So basically, so it just got really, really damaging, to the point where I didn't want to wear the hijab. I was wearing it for the wrong reasons. And I had the thought that when I leave school, I'm going to take it off, like, fully. That was my mentality, like, I would say towards the end of year 10. Now we're going through year 9, we're going through year 10. That's now the stage we're at. And so obviously coronavirus happened. I didn't get to finish my school experience. I didn't get to do my GCSEs. I can't believe it's been that long. I feel like I'm applying to uni and like it's already gone. I don't know where my college went, but yeah. So that's the point where I'm saying where I'm at my hijab journey. And it's about coronavirus. It's around Corona time, start of March. We're leaving school. And I had the idea, when I leave school, I'm taking off my hijab. I'm not wearing it anymore. I don't feel comfortable in it. I don't feel pretty in it. Had this mentality that I was just going to take it off. Like, it was just already a thought in my brain, like, even though I was wearing it. Because obviously, new school, new start kind of thing, really bad mentality, like, yeah. So it was now Ramadan times. I loved that Ramadan in lockdown at home. Me and my mom were talking about it last week, actually. It was very beneficial for me. I think it was beneficial for a lot of us because we had the time to focus on ourselves and the deen solely, because we had nothing else on. And yeah, so specifically, I decided that I was going to tell my mom I don't want to wear hijab anymore this certain day. I just told her, and she was just like, my mom's not hijabi herself, for context actually, but she was kind of disappointed and angry. And you know, when a parent is disappointed in you, you can feel it, and it really hurts. It does hurt. So she kind of got like kind of upset with me, even though she's not a hijabi herself, which people might think is quite hypocritical. But I can't thank my mom enough for this day and the way she reacted, because I wouldn't be here today if she didn't react like that. And if you just said, yeah, it's fine, do what you want, you know, you're a grown girl, do what you want. So alhamdulillah, thank you for my mom for doing that to me, actually. So today, so she goes, so she acts really disappointed to me, and I go to my room, get really upset. Remember, this is Ramadan, so I am in that state of mind where like there's no obviously shayateen like whispering in my ears or stuff like that. So I say I'm very indecisive. If anyone in my life knows me, like I'm the most indecisive person ever. So what I do is normally I sit down at my desk and I write a to-do list, like not to-do list, but like a list of things that is on my mind and why to make decisions. I write pros and cons list basically. So for example, if I was indecisive about picking a certain topic for an essay, I'd write the pros of the topic, like what I can write about, why would it be bad if I wrote, basically. That's what I did for the hijab. So I wrote all the why I didn't want to wear the hijab and why hijab is prescribed. So I spent hours on YouTube watching what the benefits of hijab, what is hijab. And a common denominator for the con that I seen was there was just this big fat con, like this only thing I didn't like was that I felt ugly in hijab. But when you realize beauty is a social construct and beauty is a social standard, then you'll realize that to feel beautiful, you have to feel beautiful. And I didn't feel beautiful in hijab. And I wondered why. Why did I not feel beautiful in hijab? So I took it upon myself, actually, to change. And I don't really make rash decisions. And this decision was rash. It just felt right. I was like, no, I'm going to be a hijabi. Like, no, I'm going to wear full hijab, proper hijab. I'm going to start from now. Obviously, it didn't work like that, because obviously whatever I think about hijab now and like my standards of hijab now, it isn't what it was then. And that's why I call it a hijab journey, because when you think about hijab, you're not gonna be a non-hijabi not wanting to wear hijab to a full jilbabi wearing a niqab the next day. It doesn't work like that, because obviously your friends, again, I told you beauty is a social construct, and to love hijab, you have to feel confident in hijab. For example, if you don't feel comfortable wearing like goth clothes, you're not going to wear goth clothes because you don't feel comfortable in that. And once you realize that, people, obviously, because there's so much pressure, like I don't feel like people, especially people who are not hijabis, men, women, Muslim women, non-Muslim women, don't understand like the pressure and how abnormal it is, because we do go through struggles and we do go through things. Like it's hard. It's one of the hardest things that I had to persevere through this year, but I did it, and alhamdulillah it was the best thing. And I'll talk about the benefits inshallah later on today, but it has been a really good decision in my life. In my opinion, I wouldn't have changed it for anything. But alhamdulillah, so I did. So I decided to wear the hijab, and what happened then is when I started researching hijab, I started to do a different topic, because remember, alhamdulillah, I decided to wear the hijab in the middle of Ramadan, actually. In the middle of Ramadan. And yeah, it is a podcast. You can listen live at Haj Radio 87.9 FM. And it was the best decision of my life, actually. So I know that sounds very exaggerated and like a hyperbole, but genuinely, it's the best decision in my life. Yeah, it is the radio, by the way, guys. Yeah, okay. So again, how it changed me. This is what I'm going to talk about next. How it changed me. The hijab brought me closer to the deen, alhamdulillah. How it did this is, one, when I was going out, the one thing I found that when I wasn't wearing hijab is I lacked in my salah. Salah is, I feel like, one of the, like, people ask, why can I not connect with God? Why do I not feel no connection with God? If you're not, I would say, if you're not praying your 5 times a day, please start with that. Especially like if you're Muslim, please start with praying your 5 times a day, because once you get that constant reminder of God, inshallah, like you'll end up getting closer, because you'll have. So when you sin, right? When you're having that constant reminder of God, you're gonna have that less temptation to sin, because you're gonna feel guilty about um, sinning, because you have that constant reminder of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what that constant reminder of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was for me, is my hijab. Because I tend to sin a lot less in my hijab. When I even wasn't a hijabi, when I was in hijab, I would watch my actions a lot more, because remember, hijab isn't just a headscarf. Hijab is your personality, your character, your akhlaq, the way you carry yourself. And you don't feel comfortable, especially when you're in public with your friends, sinning in public, because you're in hijab. You know people are watching you, you're representing the Islam, especially because you know you're representing hijabis. Forget Islam, like hijabis, because remember, when you're representing hijabis, you have a lot of pre-misconceptions when you're meeting a hijabi. Like, not two humans are the same, but I feel like, because hijabis, like, a lot of people, when they've met me, they think, oh, she's going to be like this person I've met before, because, oh, I've seen this person wearing hijab. So I have a lot of misconceptions. They'll be like, oh, you like anime, oh, you like this, because because they don't realize, like, not two hijabis are the same person. But generally, when you're out and about, like, you're gonna watch your behavior, because you're representing your sisters as well. So again, that helped me to sin a lot less and cut down the little sins that we don't realize that actually cause the biggest sin, biggest amount of sins, because we do them so many times, the little ones, over and over. So yeah, alhamdulillah, and that helped me to stop that. It also helped me to stop praying my salah, because I didn't feel like I needed to change out my outfit. I could just pray in my outfit that I was wearing as well. So I didn't have to carry like an abaya or a scarf in my bag, and it helped me pray my 5 times a day, alhamdulillah, which was really good. And yeah, so that was it's also a constant reminder of God. So that really, really helped me. Also, just wanting to, and then I started TikTok. So TikTok helped me as well, because obviously TikTok, there was a lot of hijabis and a lot of what we call Muslim TikTok. Of course, you guys already know that. And for the people who don't know what I'm talking about, is basically there's a community on TikTok, which obviously TikTok's algorithm puts a lot of people's who post the same content in kind of the same like algorithm, and then you can see their videos, and they see your videos, and you meet mutual friends. And obviously through that, I've met loads of different types of people, and alhamdulillah, they've also helped me gain knowledge and provide knowledge actually to you lot. So alhamdulillah, that was really good. That was really good. And so yeah, like obviously time went on, I improved, alhamdulillah. Like definitely what I was thinking of hijab as in like a good like proper hijab last year isn't what I think it is this year. And obviously that carries on. Like obviously I'm not a perfect hijabi, because remember, again, hijab isn't just a headscarf, isn't just covering up, it's just everything in general, how you act and what you wear, and it's just everything. So we forget also like lowering your gaze and all sorts. So inshallah, obviously I still have a long way to go improving my iman and my deen and learning more about the deen, I mean. And so yeah, but definitely has brought me closer. So now I'm thinking about, I would say, around when I start college, because remember when I started wearing it before college, and I was very comfortable. So now I'm going to talk about self-confidence and self-love, because again, I didn't have that when I was a hijabi beforehand. And that's what made me like um not what's the word I'm thinking about, not like my hijab, basically, that's what I mean. But yeah, anyways, so I'm talking about making better friends. I made a lot of better friends when wearing the hijab. I feel like you'll attract the right people when you're wearing the hijab, like socially as well, because you just do. Trust me, talking on my behalf, you just do. You attract a lot of a similar crowd, because you're sending out a message as well. And at college, I seen the difference to how people talked to me before and what type of people talk to me before when I was at secondary school in year 11, and to when I was in year 12, when I started year 12, because obviously everyone's new. No one's talked to anyone for so long because we've been in coronavirus, so no one's met really anyone new in person. So I seen the difference in what people were like. People were saying to me, trying to, like, who talked to me, who opened conversations with me first, and also the preconceptions, again, are with me, because they don't realize that, like, 6 months ago I wasn't a hijabi. Does that make sense? Because they just new to me and they just view me, and it makes you realize what people just do just judge you from your outward appearance, which is quite interesting, actually. But again, when hijab came around, I cared less about my appearance. Does that make sense? The further through my hijab journey, the less I cared about my appearance. And in the, like, of course, we're meant to look presentable. That's all good and everything. But when I say I cared less about my appearance, I cared less about body type, and I cared less about. I appreciated all, like, what Allah gave me, and I feel like before that, I used to point out my insecurities every day, day in, day out, tell myself I'm not good enough. And that is so damaging, because as a girl, there's so many different types of beauty standards that we have to live up to these days. Like, oh, clear skin, oh, this, oh, that. And we get told them from, like, when we're young, from even cultural standards as well. So we're living in our own social standards, and then or cultural standards, and then clashing. And so I cared less about that, and I cared more about what people would, like, especially on TikTok, like, when people actually cared about my opinion and just took me, like, you know, when you have comments, like, it really warmed my heart when I have comments that, like, oh my God, she's speaking facts, like, she's like, your eyes are actually listening to what I'm saying, instead of just, like, saying, oh, yeah, you look pretty. Like, that's all used to get on to, like, before, like, I wore hijab. And it's just, I realized how much, like how much self-value I didn't have, even though I thought I had. Does that make sense? How much self-value I thought I had, but I actually didn't have. I didn't value myself at all, and that was very damaging, because mental health is so important, and I think it gets really disregarded in older generations, or like, people don't really speak about it. It's getting spoken about a lot more, but it's very, very damaging, especially when you have the mindset that like, you can just fix it or just go away, or if you don't even realize that you're damaging your mental health, that's when it gets damaging. Does that make sense? Because when you're telling yourself you're ugly every day, but you don't even realize that you're doing it, and that's damaging, that is really dangerous. So alhamdulillah, that has gone down a lot less. I care a lot less about my appearance to other people, and I care about making myself happy, and as long as I'm happy, like, I also feel like an attitude has changed in myself. Like, I'm a lot more happier. I think every day I used to be moody, I used to be rude to my mom, and it's all crazy that just finding the deen through hijab in just a random Ramadan for me has, like, changed my attitude to life as well. And I feel like I'm a lot more grateful. It's made me so much more grateful, because I used to complain about me when I'm perfectly fine. I have my full health, I have everything. My eyes, alhamdulillah, I'm not blind. I can hear perfectly well. I have my senses, and you forget that people don't have these things. And alhamdulillah, like, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I found it. And yeah, so what I've learned through wearing it is, it's very interesting, actually, how I think the most interesting part, if I'm wearing it for, like, properly for, like, a year now, and I think the most interesting part is how people perceive you, what questions people ask before, and, like, what kind of people, what people actually think about it before. Because I've met a load of different types of people, because I go to now a college, there's a load of different types of people there from like outside of my city as well, and I sit next to different people from different cultures and backgrounds and different communities as well. So they're I also could spot questions now about Islam with them, and I really find it interesting about what they, because obviously I'm close to the Deen, and Deen's always been my passion. I find it easier to talk to them about certain topics, and obviously keep it lighthearted, and they're more interested as well. And I feel like me talking to them comfortably about it, I feel like because I'm their friend now, I feel like it's a great way to get non-Muslims involved into the conversations and lead them out of the misconceptions of Islam. But yeah, that's also something I've learned through wearing the hijab is, yeah, again, a lot of prejudging, especially amongst teenagers, which is quite interesting because I think it's quite normalized that we have hijabis in our community and people are quite open, but there's a lot of, again, misconceptions around the hijab, and people think that I'm not normal, or I don't, again, like, because either they've met a hijabi, they think I'm quite quiet and shy as well, obviously because of the modesty, but like also that I don't have a personality, and like there's a lot of prejudging. That's also something that I think. Also, social media is so important. I think like we need to talk about with hijab, because social media for especially young Muslim women, especially when having it, you can get really easily influenced. I think like at such a young age, because I've had social media, I guess, from the age of, which I was quite young. I would say 13. Which I think is actually quite young, even though I wouldn't have thought that when I was 13. But yes, it's very, very, how do you say, it was very damaging to my perception of beauty, because especially in today's society, because there's a lot of things on the internet. If you see my Instagram explore page now compared to a year ago, alhamdulillah, like, it's changed a lot, and you can change it, but it's up to you what you like and what you save and what you say I don't like on Instagram and stuff. So it's up to you to like filter out those specific posts and those specific themes that you're seeing in your social media, and inshallah, like, they'll definitely go away. That's something that's really, so if you are thinking about wearing the hijab or learning more about just trying to get something rid of your social media, you can. I feel like social media is such a powerful thing if you're using it right, and I think it's a bad thing and a good thing. Obviously there's bad sides to social media and there's good sides to social media, alike there is to everything. But I definitely believe that you need to like manage your social media, because if you don't, it can, because whatever you're thinking about is going to come up on your social media. You're going to like it, but you need to be careful what you're viewing as well, because what you're viewing is going to cycle, like I don't know how to explain it, but it's going to go in your head and you're not going to realize it. That's the worst bit. You're not going to realize that. I took, I think, a 6-month break off social media, and it was again one of the best things I've ever done. Because it made me just happier. I ask anyone in my life, like, I was waking up every day at 5 a.m. I realized, you know how we say this, there's no hours in the day. I think I spent like 13 hours on my phone. I think my screen time cut down to, I think it was like 3-4 hours on my phone a day, which is 10 hours extra on my day that I got. 10 hours, which is a lot. So screen time was cut down all the way down, and that, because I needed to obviously take away those specific things, I needed to filter out my social media, so I got off it for completely for 6 months, and alhamdulillah, that was also very beneficial, because I kept seeing my iman dip, and again resenting my hijab, because it got to like winter time and people were doing things and I couldn't go and I couldn't wear this and I couldn't wear that, and again resenting my hijab. And it also comes to summertime. I don't ever want to be in a position where I resent my hijab ever again. So if there's anything that I feel like might make me resent my hijab again, for example, like seeing girls at the beach or something, I would just like kind of stray my attention away from it. So yeah, alhamdulillah, so social media has a very big impact even if you don't realize it. So just try to actually think about what you're looking at on social media, and genuinely it could be like the simplest post, like I don't even know, like Instagram's post or something, like a meme page, or it could be just very harmless, but just keep track of what you're watching, because it will develop the way you think. It will 100% develop, especially like a lot of like the UK social media scene. It's very, very toxic. Like, it's very toxic, as we all know. So just be careful and just keep looking at what you're viewing on social media. I recommend, because that has benefited me, especially with my hijab journey, because I'm not looking at certain things that would make me resent my hijab before. But yeah. And yeah, in teenagers' life, the benefits of hijab. Okay, this is something that someone has said to me, and a lot of people would say, why do you wear the hijab? Oh, men should just lower their gaze, da, da, da. And this is something that someone has said to me, and it kind of like, I don't know, like, it just kind of made my head like click before when I started wearing hijab. If a policeman, right, criminals, right, they're not meant to commit crimes. We're not meant to commit crimes, but we still have criminals, right? No one's meant to have a gun and no one's meant to shoot, but a policeman will still wear his vest for protection. And I think that's the same idea with hijab. Like, I've come across a lot of things that have made me feel a lot more confident and comfortable in public as well when wearing my hijab, to be honest, genuinely speaking from my experiences at a young girl, and to obviously experience harassment at such a young age, which you don't even realize it is. It can be damaging, because you don't even, like, that's the only thing, is like, we live in a world where we don't even realize it's happening to young girls. And so I think that hijab is also a protection, and I just definitely want to say that, because it really is. But it's in my opinion and in my experience as well, it's definitely a protection. But yeah, I would be very glad to answer any questions that you guys have, because you have been sending in some questions. So yeah, so basically lots of paths, and yeah, so 100% is the way I found my way back to the deen. The hijab definitely helped me start praying my salah. That's what like impacted me. So I started researching hijab, and then I started researching other parts of Islam, whilst then starting praying my salah, which alhamdulillah, which has guided me, especially because it was in Ramadan. I think it was very easy for me to, just because like I was at home, I was in lockdown, I had no one, and I had friends that were Muslim on social media at the time, because of obviously TikTok. And definitely, yeah, so it was great. It was great, because you guys probably aren't listening to me through that. Sorry if the audio's been bad. So but yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me just answer your questions. There's nothing in life that's permanent, no worries. Yeah, so just inshallah, I'll see you guys all next week. And I think I'm going to wrap it up there, if you guys don't have any other questions. And yes, it is. And I'm just talking. It's just a podcast with me. But if we wrap it up there, and I see you guys next week, inshallah, on Monday at 7 p.m. on Haj Radio 87.9 FM with Amani's Reflection.